Well, look at that. We are live over here. We're going to be talking gardening and landscaping with you. Hope you can join me over here. A lot of exciting stuff, I'll tell you that much right now. So just kind of music going on in the background, about 5 minutes or so, and we'll see how this works out. How's that sound? Okay. I'll try to stay with you. I'm actually freezing in this room. Maybe I'll go get my jacket. Well, I am back. It's cold, man. I've been freezing my tuchus off over here all morning long. You like my shirt? My shirt is good. Okay. You can tell people about this. It'd be really great. Uh, I believe this is probably our first YouTube live. Looking at that, man, that's pretty cool. All right. But anyway, just kind of hang in there. We're going to be with you. I'm going to be answering gardening questions. Some of the stuff you'll be able to hear, some of the stuff you won't be able to, because I have a totally different system than I do my Facebook feed. But we are doing our Facebook feed as well. So again, don't go anywhere. I'm going to do this, see what happens here. Okay, watch later. Okay, let's do this right here. I'm getting double back on here. All right, how do we share this? Copy it and share. All right, let me turn this off. All right, awesome. All right, you know what? I think we could do the chat on here too. Yeah, have it all set up for the chat. You know what? It's backwards for me. Is that thing backwards? Is that sign backwards for you? That's a dirty deal if it's backwards. It's not supposed to be back. Let's see. No, this is my right hand. So if it was my right hand, the left one should come over. Whatever. You get the idea. What do we got going over here? Nice. Okay. People are going to be coming in. Hi. We're doing the YouTube live right now. And what I'll do is I'm going to post it on the page right now. Oh, that's fine. You can do it as we start. I got stuff to say. Where are you? Yeah, that's because I used to do that all by myself. That's why we started that. Remember that? Yeah. You're awesome. It's cold everywhere. I have to put my jacket on. This is ridiculous. All right, let's see how this works. Catch in the preview. Yeah, it's got me looking like a horrible guy there. Yeah. All right, well, we're going to do that anyhow. Oh, you know what? Can I do it over here too? We're going to go to over here. I'm going to get to the gardening. Don't worry, folks. Kind of hang in there. Start a post. See, what do we have to do? We have to do all of our posting and such right now. Okay. We are on live in YouTube live right now. Don't forget to subscribe. How's that sound? Does that work? Go back. Post that baby there right there. So I noticed something. We have to smile every time we're doing something. That's important. Okay, Jackie's already on board with this. Nice. I gotta turn this off. All right. Good. We're doing good. All right, so guys, hang in there. Wasn't planning on doing this today, so kind of all wacky. Woo, 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 woo. Okay, so we'll see how that works. All right.
Sorry. You see someone dangerous.
All right. Hey, don't forget to share this. Tell people we are here for you. What are we going to talk about? I don't know. I do know. Not sure if you can hear the commercials during everything. I don't know where microphone is on this. We're having interesting issues. I believe we have a cable that took a dump on us over here. So do that. You're getting the raw version here on YouTube. We are 2 minutes away from actually start. Well, actually, not take that back. We're 2:02. We are 2 minutes away from actually starting the show. So hang in there. Don't forget to turn your phone off. You got to turn your phone off. All right, to have that on. You're doing this. Okay, looking good. Everything's looking good. 562 next round. I'm going to try this, see how long we're only going to do 1 hour, by the way. We'll see how long my voice can hold up to all this. That's a real important thing. Oh, we are so close. So we've been live so far for 8 minutes, 18 seconds here on YouTube. Hang in there. Really interested to see how this is going to turn out. It looks like something that's going to be really cool. It's something we can do regularly. We will. All right, let's do this. Go to LinkedIn. Go there. Oh, we got some notifications. Nice. Okay, so put my phone over there, keep it out of the way. I'm ready to go, man. Ooh, that's cool. It's like 3D. Whoa! Whoa!
Liquid organic fertilizer. Supplying farmers for 10 years. Now, ask for Agripride. My name, Agripride, Science of Organic Growth. Tony, welcome to the program. How you doing? Hey, Nick, how you doing? Fantastic. What's going on? It sure sounds like it. Boy, I was moved up here and listened to you, so thanks for that. I'm on my way into work. I love your show. I think it's fantastic. I have kids, and we just sit around the breakfast table and listen to you every Saturday morning. I even gave it my other radio, which I won't mention. It's another station. I don't think you're familiar with this. And I took it up, and I really love that one, but I love you more. Don't tell them over there, 'cause they're pretty dedicated.
Just converted that to gardening. I have to tell you that very honestly. We really enjoy listening to the program. That's why I'm calling right now.
Welcome, everybody. This is Nick Federoff on Gardening, where we talk about gardening and landscaping, and I'm helping you out with all of your indoor and outdoor living ideas. I welcome your participation to the program. I can't even say participation to the program. And we invite you to give us a call in if you wish at 1-800-405-NICK. Of course, you can go to any one of our social media forums and you can see the program, do the program, comment on the program, and then, of course, we will also take your gardening questions and we will bring them up to the forefront here on the show. On a recent program, we were talking about, Pam, can you turn my headphones on just a little hotter, please? Just a little bit hotter. We're still having some issues. 1, 2, a little hotter. No, it's a little further down. It's further down. Yeah, that one right there. Yeah, bring it up a little more, little more, little more. There you go. That's it right there. Okay, so here's the dealio. I was mentioning and I was talking about houseplants the last time that we met. And we talked about how important it is to remember that houseplants are not like humans, where humans have a tendency to be able to put jackets on when they're cold or take them off when they're not cold. So we discussed that to nauseam. I don't want to go over that again. The other thing that I did talk about, though, was real quickly, as I talked about misting your plants. And that had everything to do with the fact that when our plants have been, when our plants have been subjected to warm temperatures, they seem to dry out. So I didn't exactly, I told you how to hydrate the plants, but the one thing we didn't talk about is how to create extra humidity for the plants during the the cold season, but warm season inside your house, if you want to call your house a season. Anyway, this is the story. This is what we have to remember. When we have houseplants, creating humidity is one of the things that helps offset any kind of dryness that the plants would be subjected to, again, during the warmth of your house. Am I making sense over here? Feel like I am. Anyway, so what you're going to do is this. You're going to take and you're going to have to create humidity. One way we create humidity is by getting ourselves something to spray the plants with. That would be like a mister. We can get ourselves a pump sprayer. We can get ourselves a hand pump sprayer, a little trigger sprayer. You put water in it and you spritz your plants. And that's a good thing to do pretty much all year round. But if you want to create a little bit extra for this, and this also helps if you're working during the day and you don't have a chance to get out there and to mist your plants, you can create humidity by doing something really simple. Now, it's not necessarily always the prettiest thing to do. Not necessarily always the prettiest. You can make it look pretty, but that's a design feature that you're going to have to figure out. And this is what we're going to end up doing. We're going to take and we're going to get ourselves we're going to have ourselves a potted plant. That potted plant must have drainage underneath that pot. So to catch the stuff that's coming out of the pot, you have to have a saucer. Now, a saucer is typically a little bit bigger than the pot itself. And because it's just a little bit bigger, we cannot do what I'm going to recommend with that particular saucer. You need to get yet another saucer, something larger. The larger the saucer, the better this technique is going to be when I begin to share it with you. Now, the saucer really needs to be, at the very least, 2 to 3 inches bigger than the crown or the upper part of the plant, of the pot. So if you have a pot that's, let's just say, 6 feet, you probably need a saucer that is a minimum of 6 inches, if not larger than that. In fact, like 9 inches. That would probably be the best. So if you're used to having your plants crowded up next to each other, by saucer thing, you're going to end up having a saucer that is plants that are not going to be touching each other any longer. The saucers are going to touch each other. I'll tell you what I use. You go to the nursery and you can get these plastic saucers. They're colorless. Notice I didn't say clear, because clear is a color. They are colorless. They're made out of plastic, and oddly enough, they're pretty durable. And what we do with these saucers, because they have lips on them that are around 2 inches tall, which is pretty big, you fill it up with about 1 inch or more of pea gravel or decorative rock. Fill the whole saucer up like that. Now, because these kind of containers that I'm talking about are these kind of saucers, they are a little bit on the flimsy side. What you are going to do is you're going to take that saucer and you're going to put it someplace, and you're going to put it in its spot where it's supposed to be, and then you'll end up putting your pots or pot on top of it. And by the way, that's something to remember here. If you can get yourself one of these things that are huge, it's just gigantormous, and then you can put a bunch of potted plants on this one huge saucer. Well, now that you have the plant on top, I'm sorry, you have the saucer, you have it filled up rock. I wouldn't go any larger than pea gravel. You might have some 3/4 inch gravel that's available. I don't think I would go in that direction. I would probably go the other. Anyway, so what you're going to do is make it at that. Then what you'll do is you're going to get yourself your pots and you're going to put them on top of this. Just put them right on top. 1, 2, 3, whatever. You don't have to do this if you have cacti, by the way. These are pretty much plants that have leaves on them. Just your pothos, your dumb cane, snake plant. You do it to these Dieffenbachia, corn plants. Do it to these kind of plants, ficus, all of your indoor plants. So what you'll do is you're going to place this on top. Then you need to fill that saucer up with the new gravel in there. You need to fill it up with water. Now, we don't want to fill it up so high to where it is going overboard and into the first saucer of the plant. We just want to fill it up just to the bottom layer, to the top layer of the rocks, just below that. Then what will happen is a miracle. You're creating humidity out of this whole process. As the weather warms up inside your house, humidity will be released. You're going to have evaporation, albeit very slow. And that's going to be perfect for bathing the underside of the leaves of the plant. That right there is pretty cool. All right, we're going to go for a quick little break over here. We've got information and ideas for the beginning and seasoned gardener. And we have your gardening questions as well as the things you've been talking about over here. Well, the things you're talking about, whatever. You get what I'm talking about. All right. We'll be back after this. Don't go anywhere. All right, let's see what we have here.
Yeah, it's marathon. Yeah, that's what I got. But yours looks so much greener and thicker than mine.
What's going on?
I'm gonna call the grower.
Marathon Farms, may I help you?
My marathon stock doesn't look as good as my neighbor's.
Are you sure yours is Marathon?
That's what I asked for.
Let me go to the computer. We don't have a record of your delivery. You didn't get genuine Marathon stock.
What do you mean?
Sometimes unscrupulous contractors, retailers, and other stock farmers need you to think they're selling Marathon.
Okay, let's do
really
this.
pees me off. How could I have known I got a cheap imitation?
Look for the bold genuine Marathon label on the side pallets when they're delivered.
Don't get cheated. Look for the genuine Marathon sign logo displayed by nurseries and landscape contractors in the elevator. Or call 1-800-4-MARATHON for a free do-it-yourself video and authorized dealer list. That's 1-800-4, then Marathon. Or visit the website at www.stock.com.
Grow smarter, not harder, with the amazing Smart Pot planters. Smart Pots are ideal for growing huge vegetable crops. There's no digging, no expensive supplies. You don't even need a garden. Just set your Smart Pot on the porch, patio, balcony, or yard and harvest homegrown veggies. Fabric Smart Pots are durable and reusable year after year.
You guys hang in there. I'll be right back.
And BPA free. Order yours at smartpots.com. That's smartpots.com. Made in the USA.
This is the sound of E. coli splashing around in raw hamburger juice on your cutting board. And it looks like Mom just put the tomatoes and onions on there. Don't let E. coli mosh your food. An estimated 3,000 Americans die from a foodborne illness each year. So always separate raw meat from vegetables on food cutting boards. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
Do you know the value of your property is directly influenced by your landscape? It's called curb appeal. Poor curb appeal or a bad landscape devalues your property, makes it worth less than it could be.
Oh,
Always separate raw meat from vegetables.
It'll behoove you to have America's most listened to garden expert and master gardener Nick Federoff evaluate your landscape. He'll offer an in-depth analysis on how to prevent, improve, or change your landscape within your budget. He's also available to consult with your landscape architect, contractor, and gardener. Use Nick as your personal liaison to help you make the right decisions. For a landscape consultation to increase your curb appeal, call Nick's office at 562-945-6469. 562-945-6469. 562-945-6469.
When you were a little kid and you thought about what you wanted to be, teaching was at the top of your list. But things changed. And as you got older, teaching didn't seem like the best option anymore. So you're thinking you'll be something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Now you want to be a doctor. You don't think teachers save lives? Oh, every time the bell rings. How about a scientist? Ever heard of physics, chemistry? Who do you think teaches that? Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, and taking learning beyond the four walls of the classroom. It's time to recognize that great things are happening in teaching. Back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You did it right the first time.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Brought to you by Teach Community.
Today's program is brought to you in part by Bonite at Bonite. Team at your local center and visit online at bonite.com.
Okay, we're back over here. Nick Federoff on gardening. We're going to we're going to begin starting. What am I trying to say here, Pam? Can you just start?
Okay. How in the world did I get weeds growing in my
Weeds growing in your house plants. Think about that for a second. How do you get weeds growing in your house plant? It's actually a really good question because that's typically not something that you're going to be finding. Now, weeds can manifest themselves pretty much anywhere. And normally, let's backtrack a second. Hopefully, you do not have any kind of potting soil. Hopefully, you don't have any kind of potting soil that has manure in it. For example, steer manure. You don't want that. Horrible. And the reason why you don't want that is because, number one, you know where steer manure actually comes from? Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is that it really doesn't have that great of a fertilizer content. It smells really bad. It lowers your product because of that. And I'm okay if you use it as a filler, but you're not going to use it as just a downright fertilizer. Plus, there's too many salts inside of steer manure too, so you have to watch out for that. But if you read every single bag on, if you read every single bag, fertilizer, what do you call it, steer manure bag, it'll say 99% weed free. Every one of them says that. Guess what? You might have got that one bag that had, you might got that one seed over there. All right. Normally, what happens is that when you have a potted plant, they typically aren't going to be using any kind of weed seed in there. They're not going to be using steer manure in there. Usually, it's a sterile mix that you're buying from the nursery, or you get from the garden center, or you get from the market. You bring it home, you put it wherever you're going to put it, and boom, it starts growing. But there are those chances that you do have those little tiny weeds. And those little tiny weeds are pretty interesting because you never know if they really ever will manifest themselves. Will they really ever start growing? Will they really start doing that kind of stuff? And when they do, you just won the lottery because it's not normal. Okay, so how do the birds? I'm not how do the birds. How do the weeds get in there? The weeds can get in again from a mix that's not sterile. It could be coming from maybe a little bit of steer manure. It could be It could be that people actually use their soil from outside to do repotting, and they can come off that. Never use pottings. Never use the soil out and about. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. What you want to do is use the best to clean stuff. Now, it is possible, and I've seen this happen before too. Do you have parakeets in the house? Sometimes parakeets, they'll be flying around. When I had parakeets at my house, well, I used to let them fly around. Do you ever have any parakeets, Pam? No parakeets? Okay, we used to let them fly around. You never know when they're going to bomb dive a house plant, or if the bird seed kind of gets splashed around, it gets into a plant. It's just really hard to tell. Just super hard to tell. If you took that plant and it was outside, or out in a patio, for instance, or you went and you repotted it outside, you can get the weeds that way too. The other thing is this: in transition. Think about this. Plants are in transition. You're taking them from the car, or they're taking them from the nursery into from a truck into the nursery, which is an unsterile environment. You have the wind blowing, weeds can get in there. So it just really is something that you just don't know. All right, Pam. So that's the story with that.
Can you go over the steps on what I should really do?
What did she say? That she's a garden newbie on what? On what? Oh, mint. Oh, a newbie on mint. Hey, if you're killing mint, you shouldn't be gardening. We just had that last question we had that question on the weeds. Mint is kind of like a weed. It really is. If you look at it wrong, it's going to grow. And kind of the only way that you can kill this stuff is if you get an exorcism performed on it. I mean, it's just something else. It really is. Mint really is a fun plant to have. It's one of these plants that you can grow in the shade, you can grow it in the sun, you can grow it in the ground, you can grow it in pots. Probably the number one problem that most newbie gardeners have is that they overwater. Get this all the time. Newbie gardeners overwater, even people who've been doing it for a long time. Not that I'm raising my hand, but we've all overwatered our plants before. That's probably the thing that you did. Now, starting off with mint, oh yeah, that's the hot ticket right there. That's a good plant to start off with. And the reason why it's a good plant to start off with, as I mentioned, is that it is a tough plant to kill. Now, again, if you allow the plant to dry out way too much, it's going to die on you. If you allow the plant to get too wet, it's going to die on you. Keep it moist. That's all right. And keeping it moist, use that trick that I've talked about. Well, when you end up taking a sponge, you wet the sponge, you squeeze the sponge out. And after you squeeze the sponge, what do you have left? You've got yourself a sponge that's moist. That's how your soil should be. Moist, not wet. Understand where the plants need to be placed in your yard. If they're full sun plants, if they're shade plants, if they're half and half, mint, you're probably a little bit more successful if you do keep them in the sun, because if they're in the sun, they're going to thrive a whole lot faster. They're not going to be that dark, super dark green that they're known to be, but they're going to be growing a whole lot faster because you're going to have exchanges of starches and sugars in the sun and all that. It's just a party for them. So that's definitely a good plant to have. And the best part is that you can take these plants and you can use them for culinary purposes. That's another really cool thing about newbie gardening, is that you can grow plants, and some of them, the second that they burst out of the ground, or the second that you've planted them from a set, because you're not going to be planting mint seeds, you're going to be actually planting the actual plant. I don't even know if there are mint seeds. Are there? I've never seen mint seeds. Pam, you deal with all the seeds around here. I've never seen any mint seeds. Yeah, I think, no, I don't know. Maybe someone can tell me. But anyway, so the story is that you're going to take these plants, and if they don't give you a fruit, like a tomato or a squash or cucumber or something of that nature, chances are you can eat the flesh. Kind of cannibalistic, but it's really cool. You take and you get a plant that's already growing, a basil, you put it in the ground, you put it in the pot. The second you put it there, in fact, before you even put it there, you can start grazing on it. A lot of fun. It's really a lot of fun. All right, I'll tell you what, we're going to go for a quick little break. Got to wet the whistle over here is what I've got to do. And then we'll be going over more of your questions. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. All right. Colleen. Okay, great. Oh, Robbie and Gary's YouTube. Yes, yes, yes. They are most awesome. Love those guys. Did you see the TV show we filmed with them? Very, very cool stuff. All right, so Serena messaged me. I got to get back to her. All right, I'll get to those. This is funny. Okay, what I'm doing over here is I'm okay. What did you say here? Commercials or the questions? Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to figure. We are going to have to figure out out how to get question how to get the audience to hear. I'm chatting with Colleen right now. Say Serena is the best. All right, what do we got here? Okay. Did you see the TV show you on there? No, set it to watch was by TV. Okay, Colleen, check this out. You could actually watch the show. You can watch the show on my Prime channel. The oops is HTTPS Amazon.com/stream. Look for the picture of and Robbie. Carrie might be in it too. Oh, thank you for the compliment.
Each time you know, are you picking up the clippings or leaving them down? This is Dick Federoff with today's Things Green Garden Minute. It's a lifelong controversy whether or not we pick up the clippings after we mow our lawn or just leave them there.
All right, so Serena told me that we cannot hear what's going on over there. There's a bunch of commercials that are happening. That's how I pay for this stuff. I have this is actually part of an actual radio show that's heard on stations all throughout the country. So I keep on getting. I can hear you. Oh, you could hear me. That's the whole idea. Okay, good. You can hear me. Okay, we got stuff going on there. Nice. Watch live. Got some questions over here. Okay, that's good. Yeah, we're going to do this. All right. We're on? We're on. All right, check this out. Let's start talking. I didn't hear you. Did you say sir? All right, we're back over here, and I'm being ambushed. I am being ambushed. We have somebody by the name of Serena that keeps on finding me on all our social media that we're broadcasting right now, and she's forcing me to say Serena is the best. So, what? Not you? Oh, you're telling her that? Oh, that's too funny. Anyway, yeah, it's a really, really okay, good. All right, let's continue on over here. And you know what? We have a couple of questions that have come up. What's happening here is that people are reposting stuff. They're reposting the shows, Facebook and YouTube stuff, and we're getting questions that are coming up. So here are a couple of the questions that I have come up here. It says, how do you not kill a cactus or succulent? Well, not killing them is a really pretty good question because it takes a long time to kill cactus. Whether it gets watered too much, it does take a long time to have it rot out. If it has not been watered at all, it takes a long time to kill it. Cacti and succulents are actually pretty forgiving. One of the neat things is that they will give you warnings for the most part. If you look at the base of the plant, right where it comes out of the ground, if it's really soft right there, that tells you it's too much water. If the plants kind of start shriveling up, that tells you it's not enough water. And probably the number one way to kill a cacti or cactus and succulents is by not giving them enough sunlight. You have to have enough sunlight for these things. Now, does that mean you need full blown Gobi Desert sunlight, 12,000 degrees? That's more like centigrades over there. No, it doesn't mean that at all. You can give them indirect sunlight, or you can give them direct sunlight. If you're going to have them as a house plant indoors, you have to still be careful with them because you don't necessarily want to put them by a window, so where that window in the summertime especially will pound down on it and then intensify the heat through the window as a magnifying glass. So there are things that you have to concern yourselves with. Now, one of the best things is that whenever you go to a nursery, they will typically have a little tag on there, and they'll tell you whether or not it should be full sun or not. And when I'm thinking about this question right here, and they ask, how do you not kill cactus or succulents? I'm thinking that you get these little tiny plants that are like 3-4 inches tall, if that much. That's what I'm thinking. Because if you're going to have cacti and succulents outdoors, it's really a different game. And on top of that, you got to remember here that usually if they're outdoors, they're probably acclimated a lot quicker toward the outdoors. And you already know that you got to put them in full sun. You just never, ever, never, ever, ever, never, never, ever want to take the plants and put them in full shade. That is a no-no. So keep that in mind. Now, Manny is writing in and he's asking, how do I keep the blankety blank birds? I did have to. Manny obviously has a potty mouth over here, and we do broadcast to a lot of Christian stations. So, got to be careful what we say here, buddy boy. Okay, how do we keep the blankety blank birds from eating my chilies? You know what's really interesting about birds? Did you know that they do not have taste buds? That's why they can eat your chili. They can eat your chili all day long. Now, I don't know what it does through their system if they eat it and then it eats them from the inside or anything like that. I'm not sure how that works because I'm not an aviary specialist, an aviary specialist. I don't know anything about birds other than the fact that they do not have taste buds. Therefore, how do you keep them from eating your chilies? Outside of using your golf course language on them, which you're obviously very used to doing because you're writing it out here, Manny. What you could do here is you need to put a netting over the plants. We talked on one of our last shows about how we could cover trees up with bird netting and the difficulty it is, and it's a huge difficulty on you can do how to do that. But taking bird netting for your chilies is a lot different. You could literally just drape them right over the plants. And typically speaking, you're not going to have a bird that is going to make its way underneath that thing. Just make sure that it's overlapping quite a bit so that they can't make it underneath. That's all. That's all you're going to do. And then if you do see one, it does get underneath. Real simple. Pick up the bird netting and then let the bird go free. So that end of it is actually pretty simple to do. Now, there are other things that you could take and you could put over the plants. They're what they call these garden tunnels. Garden tunnels are becoming extremely popular. They are half moon shaped tunnels, which are anywhere from 3, 5, 10 feet long. You can actually build them and put them in sections. And then what you do is you cover the whole plant up with these things. And by covering the whole plant up with these things, you're not inhibiting any sunlight, any sunlight to come through, because the material that's on the outside of this is almost like a greenhouse-like material, to where you're creating a greenhouse-like effect for them. And it's a really good thing, and it's a fun thing to do to the plant, because you'll probably get more chilies than you ever expected. All right, more information and ideas for the beginning and season gardener when we come back. I think I've kind of warmed up over here. I got to take my jacket off. We'll be back right after this. All right, let's see what happens here. It's hot. It's cold. It's cold. It's hot. All right, what do we got here? Let's go back. Yes. That is just too funny. Okay, so we've got people hanging out with us. All right, Colleen, without giving your exact address, what part of the world are you in? How's that? How about you, Serena? How about Serena? Where do you call home? What's that? Because my classes are kind of weird. That's because I have glasses over glasses. I'm too cheap to buy these in the prescription or anywhere else. I'm liking it. Got a lot of fun stuff going on here. All right, let's see here. Oh, you're in Beaumont. Nice. San Gabriel home is where the heart is. Someone watches a lot of TV. Okay, hey Colleen, check this out. I used to be a weed abatement contractor, and we used to do a lot of weed abatement in Beaumont. My offices are located in Whittier, which we call the thingsgreen.com botanical gardens. So that's where I'm from. And I was just by there through Beaumont last week. I got a place out in the desert over there in Palm Springs area. So I pass by there every so often. Don't get out there as often as I want. Now, if you go down, I think there's a Denny's right when you go past the 10 and the 60. You get into Beaumont going south. There's an off-ramp right there. I think it's a Denny's. I've had a lot of meetings over there. All right, let's get back to this. All right, let's get back to business over here. 1-800-405-NICK is our telephone number. That's 1-800-405-6425. And let's get back to your gardening question. What is this? A show on cacti today? Is that what's going on? Is this cacti day? How can this be cacti day? What's happening here? Okay, this is the story. Can you cross pollinate? This it was cross pollinate, right? Yeah. Normally, cross pollination is not something that you're going to see from cactus to cactus. Pretty much, if it's in its own family, genus, and species, it's going to stay within that own genus and species. You normally don't see that happening. However, is there an exception to the rule? Yes, there is, but it's not via pollination. It's usually something more like grafting. Have you ever seen, and they actually look pretty cool. Pam, have you ever seen those cactus? They only get about, oh, they only get about 3, 4 inches tall, but you'll see the bottom part be like a star cactus, and then the top part is like a barrel cactus. And they actually graft those together. That's not how they grow naturally. Those are pretty cool. And then what'll happen is that you'll see a whole bunch of like little tiny flowers on top of them. Those are uber awesome. I really like them. Super, super like them. But anyway, uh, I think that's just it's a really neat thing. You're not going to be finding that kind of stuff. What do you call it? The propagation of that kind of stuff too often. It's a specialty kind of thing, and the cross pollination is pretty much nil to nothing.
And see that overgrown lines and am told that there is a seed on it. My question is, how in the world do I take this mess without pulling the plant itself?
Carefully, extremely carefully, because as the vines are intertwining with each other, you're going to have to identify the good plant versus the plant that you don't want any longer. Now, the kiwi vine, I don't, kiwi has to have a male and female plant. So you have to decide, by looking at them, you just can't tell. But the thing of it is that you need to be very careful where you make those cuts. Strongly identify which is which. And then come through and follow the bad plant all the way down to the base of the plant. You just don't want to start cutting and pulling, cutting and pulling. You want to strategically cut and unwind as you are cutting. It's the unwinding that's extremely important in this particular case. So be sure that you are on top of doing that, because otherwise it's going to be a problem for you. You can remove more of the kiwi than you really want to, or you can inadvertently pull it out.
I purchased the grafted mango tree. It only has one leaf, a lot of leaves. When can I expect it to develop branches?
Okay, if you have one trunk on any kind of plant, the technique that we use is called well, it's really not called anything. You're just taking, and you want to remove the apical growing point. Apical growing point is the very tip of any plant. And if you've ever seen a plant where it does start branching out at a certain part on a trunk, that's because that apical growing point, the very tippy tip top right there, has been cut off. It could be something as dramatic or drastic of taking and cutting it down, say, 6 inches, and then allowing the plant to kind of just branch off from there, because it will branch off in different directions at that point. Or what it could be a plant that you could just take your forefinger and your thumb and you pinch the very tippy tip top part where it's just barely green coming at the end of the branch, and then it'll branch off from there. Just remember this, that by doing something like this, wherever you pinch that off, that's kind of like setting the scene. So let's just, for hypothetical purposes, that branch is 6 feet tall, and you take and you cut it down, you only cut off the 6 inches, 5.5 feet, right? Then that means you're going to start creating branching off of that at 5.5 feet. Your canopy is going to be really high. But if you bring it down and you bring it down to cut off that apical growing point, which could be 1, 2, 3 feet, then wherever that spot is, it'll start branching out and possibly even be more shrub-like than anything. So it's a really interesting thing that you have going on right here. But yes, just take and pinch that apical growing point out, and it'll start to develop for you. And then also pay attention so that the plant doesn't get too lopsided, because you may get one branch heavier than the next, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, we'll be back right after this. Thank you very much for your question.
You'll also find lots of tips to simplify recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new cans if they'll haul away your old ones. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycling. That's greenergadgets.org. Do you want a picture-perfect lawn? Are broadleaf weeds like dandelions, clover, and dollarweed taking over your lawn? Bonide has your weed problem solved. Bonide's fast-acting weed feed uses a very effective four-way weed killer that works through the roots and shoots of your lawn. Bonide's weed feed will eliminate tough-to-kill broadleaf and grassy weeds like licking grass, dollarweed, and dandelions. These weeds are no match for Bonide's weed feed. Bonide's weed feed kills over 200 hard-to-kill broadleaf weeds while giving your lawn a gentle 8 to 10 week feeding. Would you like to gently feed your lawn without any weed killers? Bonide can help you with that as well. Bonide's premium lawn food with Vital X to feed your lawn for up to 8 to 10 weeks. The additional Vital X micronutrients helps your lawn maintain that healthy dark green color. So don't wait to get that picture-perfect lawn. Stop and purchase some of Bonide's weed and feed products today. Bonide products are family-made in America. Visit Bonide.com for a dealer near you.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayak.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. But it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we go back
Sure.
tomorrow?
Let's stick with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak. Let's make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a taxi? 233 North Maple.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your nature. Visit covertheforest.org, find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking, or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your nature.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Okay, well, first and foremost, I want to thank those that have been hanging out with me over on our YouTube channel. If you get a chance to subscribe to there, we'd greatly appreciate it, and tell people about the YouTube channel. I guess today's program looked pixelated because we're working off of the wireless over here. If we were tethered in, got to remember that we'll take and we'll bring it. That's the only internet connection we have in here, isn't it? Or do we have another one, do you think? probably the only one. Yeah, we'll probably have to get another cord in here somehow so we can connect it to here, because it was actually a lot of fun chatting with everybody all through that as well. So that was actually kind of exciting stuff. All right, let's get back and start getting some of your questions going here. Well, if they're being shaded, that's not the end of the world for them. I don't know if you know this or not, but agapanthus, they have a tendency to grow in that. They can grow in the shade, not deep shade, but they'll grow in the shade. You can put them in an eastern exposure, or you can put them in northern exposure. Yeah, let's put it this way: the less sun that an agapanthus gets, the fewer flowers they're going to get. That's the whole deal on that stuff, on the agapanthus. So the fewer flowers you're going to get. Therefore, you just want to make sure that this shade that you're talking about is not a dense shade. And I'm not talking kind of dense. I'm talking dense to the point to where it's kind of dark and they're not getting anything. The leaves will get very dark, which actually a very dark leaf agapanthus with fewer flowers. Oh, I dig that kind of stuff. I really dig that kind of stuff. It's cool. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, and the reason I like this so much is because usually that brilliant, absolute beautiful blue flower sets off really good against the dark green leaf that you get on them. Now, if they're in full sun, you're going to get a lighter leaf, but you're going to get more flowers. Therefore, it's 6 one way, half a dozen the other. What's the best way? What is the look that you like? You have to decide. All right, is that music? Oh, a little bit more. Okay. I can't tell. Oh, there it is. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we kind of have a modified system here in the studio today because it looks like half of our equipment is dying. Oh, well, that's the way that it works. Hey, listen, I want to thank everybody for listening to this hour of the program. Don't forget, you can watch my television show on your favorite PBS channel. If they do not have a PBS channel and PBS channel in your neighborhood that carries it, contact the station, have them call me. Otherwise, you can go to my Prime channel. And my Prime channel is located at amazon.com/V as in video and /things green. That's amazon.com/V/video. This is Nick Federoff on gardening. All right, thanks everyone. I will be back. I will be back in 1 hour. Okay. Oh, I am new to wanting to grow things, but I'm afraid of killing it because of my brown thumb. Hey, Colleen. Colleen. I'm new to gardening too. Let's kill plants together. Feel free to ask questions. Questions. Or even call in. 1-800-405 Nick 6425. Okay, thank you, Colleen. It was a pleasure. Oh, let's get to do that. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.